Welcome to your Inspirational Astrology Horoscope for the weekend of April 30th through May the 1st of 2022. I'm astrologer Dave Palmer, Leo King, here to illuminate the collective consciousness. Well, thanks so much for being a part of HighVibe.tv. If you have not subscribed to HighVibe.tv, make sure you do. You miss out on all my daily videos, deep astrology, all the weekly videos, all the weekly shows, all the amazing content, all the amazing creators making content every day, every week. We are the most disruptive, spiritual, uncensored spiritual network around. And there is no other one around that you can get on an app and watch. So you can subscribe through your app store, or you can even go on Apple TV or Roku. Anyway, thanks so much for being here. This is a special weekend horoscope because, of course, it is the new moon solar eclipse in Taurus. And, you know, this weekend, this is going to be the reminder of it's a new moon solar eclipse. It's a partial eclipse, but it's a big one. Remember, the north node is in Taurus, the north node of the moon, the south node of the moon is in Scorpio. We are now in this axis for at least another year. And this is now the set of eclipses now that are changing the game from the ones that we were in for the last couple of years. And so this is a big one because the last time that we should have had 19 years ago, these North Node Taurus solar eclipses, we didn't get them. So the last North Node solar eclipse in Taurus was in 1986. And so it's been 36 years. And when you look at society today and you look at life, there's more filters on everything, more makeup than ever. Everybody's putting on this thing to make ourselves feel better in ways. And I think with all these beautiful aspects happening while this new moon solar eclipse is happening, like Venus and Jupiter, the two benefics meeting together at their most powerful positions that they could ever meet. They can't meet in another sign with both of them at such great power, Jupiter, the ruler of Pisces, and Venus, exalted in Pisces. And they're meeting at the exact moment of this eclipse that's happening around noon Pacific on Saturday. It reminds me of, can we get through this part of our lives and really start to see we don't need to feel a void, that we have fulfillment within ourselves, that we know the value, number one, that God created each individual person and this whole entire world and this whole experience that we go through for a purpose and for a reason at the highest value, and the amount of love and creation that it took to bring you here and to enjoy this beautiful life and this beautiful soul and the beautiful body and environment and world that we live in is already a miracle within itself and a blessing. This is a weekend that it's going to change the slides in our life. You know, every time we get into new eclipses, but especially once we really change over into the nodal axis and we start to see the eclipses in the same sign as the nodes, we really do finally change into a whole new set of at least 6-month cycle energy. And with a lunar eclipse in 2 weeks in Scorpio that's coming, a lot of this is having to really understand that the moon is exalted here in Taurus and that the lunar eclipse that's in 2 weeks is going to be at its fall position. So we have to learn to let go of attachments to things that don't have value to us, that we might be obsessed with, that aren't good for us. Jupiter and Venus, the real blessing is, of course, the miracle that we're here from God, the miracle of God itself, but also the understanding that the blessings come from the more that we surrender in our life to things that really are not in alignment with us, and then we don't try and force things. Although there's a lot of surprises like Jack-in-the-Box energy, right? Whenever the Uranus energy is around a solar eclipse like this one, we are about 4-degree orb away, since this north node's at 22, but really we have Uranus at 14, which is coming out of its shadow. That's where it's stationed retrograde in 2021. But we have this new moon solar eclipse at 10 of Taurus. So, you know, this is a moment where, you know, anything can happen in any way. There's a lot of unpredictability to this one. And the more that you try to have it already all figured out, that you already know you don't, things will change faster than ever. You know, I was on Deep Astrology this week on High Vibe, and it reminded me of the telephone operator switching which line, right? And connecting people, because Venus on Jupiter in conjunction, and the most benefic conjunction that we could ever have at this place. And with Neptune being in this, remember that 12 years ago when Jupiter was here, Neptune was not in Pisces, the ruler of Pisces. So this is the first time in our lives that we've ever had this. And unless you lived in 1856, I mean, I don't think anybody alive here did, but you never know. Some of you creepy vampires are still around. Maybe in politics too. But I think it's very important for us to remember that we have to, at this point, realize that relationships are a big part of this. Uranus rules people, the world, society, relationships. We've got Saturn in Aquarius, which is square these nodes. And the decisions that we're making right now is, number one, anytime you go with where you think you have to do things because this is what people want, this is what society must need, this is what, right? Like there's a fine line between that. But with Saturn in Aquarius, it teaches us to remember that we make choices that are the best for us in our own destined road, and that we are not doing things to people please or to hope that others will like us more because we do something. And you can see in society today, or whether it's on social media, look at the mental health, how it's affected people, on, especially women out there, right? When it comes to social media and trying to look like somebody that they want, or afraid to show themselves because they don't look like the other person on social media, that trickles down into many other places in our lives. Or us trying to sacrifice our own value and sovereignty and worth to help somebody, or to get into a rescue triangle, if you know that in psychology, where we can try and help somebody so much and they can never really actually show up to be helped for, and then they don't do the stuff that you need, and you give everything, and the next thing you know, now you're the one getting castrated. This is definitely a time in your life where you knowing your sovereign worth, and are you knowing how to move forward in your life with that unpredictability that's around, and with that flow and that compassion for people, but also not giving yourself away, knowing your value, knowing your worth. And this is going to be a time where our self-worth is tested. We might feel lonely at the highest extremes. These are benefic planets at the end of Pisces, but it's the end of Pisces. I don't care what planet's there. The last degrees of Pisces are very difficult. And with Mercury that's leaving Taurus and a trine to Pluto that just retrograded in stationary retrograde, that was on Friday, right before Saturday, the eclipse, this is the first planet to go retrograde after we've had the last couple months of planets direct. Remember, we entered into this year with the Venus retrograde. So I want to remind people that, like, this year, even though, the planets are direct and stuff, a lot of us are deeply reviewing things about relationships and where we're going in our life and the voids and how to fill them. But is it really about filling them, or are they already filled? And does the universe create more for us when we just step into our lives without feeling like there's a hole, and without feeling like that there's something to be filled, but more about fulfilling within ourselves and our own understanding of ourselves, and being willing to take on the future with whatever is there, with whatever is going to bring us forward, and not feel like you're on a quest to find something. With Mercury that's been in trine to Pluto, that's now stationary retrograde, and now entering into Gemini, where it's going to start to station retrograde by May 10th, that Mercury being in its home sign, the truth, and especially that it's on the star cluster of the Pleiades, the last degree of Taurus and the first degree of Gemini is the star cluster there. We've got to see that truth in ourself, our light work, That's fulfilling within itself, and that's what brings in the most amazing things in life. There's a lot of people out there on search for their twin flames, or search for the ultimate partnership or the ultimate relationship, and it's only when you do that true light work, or that self, sovereign self that you are really fulfilled with, then the true energy of what's supposed to be in alignment with you really comes. And so this is a time where, when you have to look at every relationship in your life and go, am I in this because I don't feel like I feel like that this person's actually acting more like a crutch for me in my life? Or am I actually looking at people because we're both in our sovereign energy and we both feel on the same page? We've got Eros that's exactly conjunct this solar eclipse, which Eros was the son of Aphrodite. He was obsessed and in love with Psyche, and together they wanted to bring physical reality of sexual energy, of passionate energy to bring into life, eroticism even. And so this solar eclipse here is bringing that up. And when you see Jupiter on Venus at the exact point, in the most potent place we could ever see, and it won't happen again for another 12 years at minimum, and it will never happen again with Neptune right there, which is the real full ruler of Pisces on its own. This brings up this, maybe it might feel like a void, or maybe it's about, I know I'm the shit, I know I'm the best, and I'm only going to take the best in my life. I'm only going to take what's stimulating to me, because even just having Mercury in Gemini and with Psyche, that Aphrodite's son, Eros fell in love with, right, was the stimulation, the right environment, the right sovereign energy, the right feeling, and the right energy that wants to make things real. If you're trying to live things in a digital, virtual world right now and continue to just push things off into the digital world or put things off into the next week or into the next year or I don't know when, maybes, it's more about what can you make tangible now. This is Taurus. You've got to throw out the bull to plow the field, to plant the seeds, to grow, and you have to trust that the rains will come. You can't control the rain, but you can do everything that you can to plant the life that you want. And so this is a great moment for relationships and a great moment for us in finding our sovereign energy, but it's only going to be when you're filled and others are filled. And that's also Saturn's lesson as well as square the nodes, is because it is squaring that south node in Scorpio. And that's where that lunar eclipse is coming in the next 2 weeks. That we're going to have to do things because we actually have that solid energy within us, that solid sovereignty within us. If we're doing it because we feel an empty void, or we're having sex just to have sex because we're empty, it can make us feel even more empty. It can make us feel like when we're with a partner just because I want to have a partner, it's so fleeting. It's about looking at the qualities of what really is there and what can be built there. But also, on the other side of it is where maybe are you afraid? There's people who are codependent fucking crazy people that fucking do crazy shit. And then there's others that don't know how to even enter into partnership. And so, there's definitely the other side where if that's a fear of yours, which that's going around too, even with people in relationships, or feeling stuck in crazy positions that you're in, Saturn in Aquarius square the nodes, especially in Taurus and Scorpio, of the life that we manifest, we're all in a weird space, or it feels like we're all in a weird place. It's like, wow, it's either cool and weird and you're okay with it, or it feels like this is fucking weird. Why am I here? And I'm too afraid to leave. A lot of people are stuck in their own jails. And then on top of that, they're feeling like empty inside because, number one, they're in the jail, but number two, they don't realize that the key to unlock this is that, you have to learn to take action in your life. Mars is sextiling the sun throughout this weekend and into next week as the sun will be approaching Uranus as the solar eclipse is happening. The moon's exalted in Taurus. We've got Mercury and Gemini to be able to really start to figure things out before a Mercury retrograde comes by May 10th. And then we go through the whole rest of the month of May into June with a Mercury retrograde. I just want, and that Mercury retrograde's going to come back into Taurus and start trining Pluto again. And we've got Mercury that's been in sextile to Jupiter, Venus. And then we got Venus that's coming into Aries as we end this weekend and come into Monday. So that's of course, where it's at its detriment, but it also is where it pops. So if you're in something because it seems magical or dreamy, but it don't pop, sorry, it's just a dud. And that's hard. That we have to really understand our value and worth again on a level that we haven't done for 36 years. And we can't buy our way through this happiness. We can't love our way through things that are to fill voids in our life to fulfill our happiness. We have to fill our happiness within ourselves and know our value and our worth and make things and create things and find the beauty and find the creations that we make as our greatest blessings. And that's when you see blessings grow in your life. It's the blessing of an earth that has the blessing of the animals, the physical nature that we see on the planet, and all of the humans that are on this planet, and all the crazy things. But without that earth, there would be not those blessings. So you need to look at all the blessings that you have already instead of looking at the thing that you don't have. Because if you keep falling into the place where you don't have something, you keep falling into that trap during this time, Uranus is going to smack you in the ass and remind you of the things that you have, but by taking it away from you and bringing you to a place and outcasting yourself or throwing it out in a weird way, as Uranus likes to do, to have you go through a breakdown so you can realize and see that you would do anything again to have a warm shower maybe. You'd do anything again to appreciate the clothes that you had. You'd do anything again to appreciate just the ability to maybe sit down and, I don't know, I don't drink coffee or tea no more. I'm on 10 years no caffeine, but like fucking, maybe drink your tea with your little blanket. Or are you doing that because you see other girls doing that, and that brought that idea to you? This is about deprogramming what's valuable. This is about deprogramming what is your definition of a sovereign soul. This is about deprogramming your understanding of what help is. Do you help yourself first? Do you know your sovereign self first before you go out there and even understand what you're trying to connect with? Or are you doing it because you're feeling like a loser and you're too afraid to admit it? You're feeling empty and you're doing it because you want to try and impress other people or fit into society or be the leader that's going to save CNN Plus. And we know that's not going to work. So this is a great moment, but I'm going to call it out as I see it and as an astrologer to remind you that this is about your light work. This is about your sovereign soul. And this is about filling yourself up and knowing how powerful you are. Hot, sexy, emotionally powerful people of themselves and know their value attract other hot, sexy, powerful people. Empty people attract empty people. Simple as that. We don't know where it's all going to go with Uranus because the lines are going to be crossed. If you're thinking, this is very reliable, the most unstable position in astrology is Uranus and Taurus. And it's about to hit 15 degrees and go halfway through the sign. And when you look at history, when Uranus enters into 15 degrees and over, which is happening this year, which is happening within this next month coming up here in May, you're going to realize that the world is about to look more like 1938 and 39 and going into those worlds than ever. And you better start to understand your value, your worth, so you're not caught up in the wrong place. You're not drafted into a war. You're not drafted into a relationship that's probably going to leave you because they fell for all the spells that are going to go into the weird shit that they're trying to do out there. How smart are you? By knowing your value and knowing your smarts of the environment and being able to put it all together, or are you just so easily duped by your insignificant emptiness that is not empty at all? And this is my big moment here for you all to pay attention of what's coming, which you can feel. It's a volcano that's coming. It's an earthquake that's coming, and it's a shattered reality at the highest degree, because when you thought the reality shattered in 2021, it did. And you've been picking up the pieces, but right when you're picking up the pieces, it shatters again. And so I don't want people to get lost into thinking that they've got their whole understanding of their life. We have no idea what people are going to change in our life. We have no idea what's solid and secure at this moment in our life. All we can do is know how to get through this maze because we know our sovereign badass self. We know our soul's journey, and we know the soul that we are here to be, and we are not going to be duped by energies that are outside, which, to be honest with you, if you watch all these energies on TV and you watch all this shit, do you really even think they're from here? Do you even think they're being controlled from here? Do you think they're even being fucking... There's an outside entity, whether it's by computer, whether it's by alien, whether it's Aquarius, Saturn, squaring these nodes, and we've been through the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, we've been through Mars-Saturn conjunction, we've been through Mars-Venus conjunction, all in Aquarius. So you really think that you're going to be that stupid, woke-ass person that's going to run into whatever the new thing is? Or are you going to see your sovereign self and know how to get through this and pick your partners and pick your spiritual team and pick all the energy that's in your environment, because we're going to review our environment again with this Mercury in Gemini, as it's in shadow during this eclipse. And this eclipse is, are you going to be the person like in the end of the 30s in Poland that stayed in Poland when the warnings from the universe were that the Nazis were coming in? And just sit there and watch it happen? Or are you going to pay attention to the signs in your life right now and know your value and know yourself and know where the energy is that feels in that same similar energy as you, that doesn't feel empty, that don't even play trauma connections right now? You'd be an idiot if you're going to play trauma connections. What do we have in common? That we went through trauma together or in the same kind of trauma. Fuck that. I want to be with you and you want to be with me because you're fucking badass and I know that you know that I'm badass and we know each other are badass. See what the cards have to say for that shit. I'm going to use the badass tarot for that too. Hold on one sec. All right. Let's see what's going on the cards for this. We got the Four of Swords that just popped up. Trying to find our safe, comfortable, happy place emotionally. That places that we can actually feel like we could rest our energy and do that. But I feel like this is a time where it's like maybe we already have to see that we already are protected and in a safe place by the divine, instead of feeling like we're not. But if you're not feeling in a safe place right now, you need to run out of that place that feels unsafe. We got a Four of Wands that follows that. Yeah, this is a lot to celebrate about already that we have. Sometimes in life, in tarot especially, people like use tarot to always do the carrot on the end of the stick. I'm looking at this, especially based off the astrology, like you already are in celebration. Why aren't you celebrating more your life? Why are you not celebrating more the moment? Why are you not celebrating the life that you could have? Why are you putting it off by, it's already 2 a.m. I'm going to go back to my bed and fucking be a boring ass piece of shit. Like, I don't know what to fucking tell you. These are times where the world's changing. The fucking Capricorn energies, the last Pluto retrograde in Capricorn just happened hours ago. On April 29th, 2022, last Pluto retrograde in Capricorn of our lives. So time, as you can tell, is already being destroyed. People in jobs and everything are changing up their hours. And that world's going away if you didn't realize. So why don't you start celebrating your life to create more and more journeys of celebration? We got the Seven of Cups as our challenge here. I think a lot of this challenge is one, I think people do have to dream more in life, but then you have to actually it's with Jupiter, Neptune, and Venus and Pisces, and especially even Mars in Pisces. If you have too many and you're just always going from one to another, and you can't make a choice in life of knowing where that secure place is and knowing where that celebration is, then you're going to get lost. And we got a Three of Wands here. Definitely, it's time to go on the exploration of life, to be open to the journey. But knowing when we feel that ship's around or that ship that we go to and it's open and it wants to receive just as much as we want to go, that we take that invitation and we go in life, that we don't become scared, that we don't go, well, let me see if there's more ships. When you already have a feeling and you already know, and there's a lot to celebrate there in your life. Spiritual advice card is the Two of Wands in reversed. Stop acting like you already have the world in your hand when you haven't even really looked. Maybe it's time for you to actually realize that the world that you've created for yourself and the idea of how it is isn't actually the world that you actually think. It's time to reevaluate the understanding of the passion that you have of the world that you could really look at, to look at different windows of life, to look at different ways to look through this life. I'm just going to pick one card for relationships, and that is the Queen of Pentacles reversed. People without their self-worth and value, people who don't offer anything of value and don't know their skill sets and don't know their tools, you'll know. They don't value you. They don't want to show up. They just want everything from you, and they don't want to ever show up. They don't want to ever do anything. They don't have what it takes. Anybody who doesn't have it, anybody who doesn't have the ability, anybody who doesn't want to hold the same space, stop wasting your time. I appreciate you all so much. My Hypergate Manifestation Masterclass is going on right now. You can watch the last 2 recordings of the last 2 weeks. I still got 3 more weeks in the class, so you can catch up. Go to highvibe.tv, click on Masterclass, Manifestation, or go to highvibe.tv and click on School, or you can go to highvibetvschool.com and sign up, be in the portal, watch the recordings, and then join me live on Wednesdays for the last 3 weeks of this course, all about manifesting. And I chose this course to do during this time, using astrology and all the crazy Hypergate tools that I use. If you haven't watched Hypergate yet or been through that school, it's super cheap. Go to highvibe.tv and click on Hypergate for that. But, it's Taurus and Scorpio nodes and eclipses. Do you really want to know how to manifest your dreams in life? Or do you want to just continue to keep watching and watching other people who are in the same environment as you, or maybe are not at the place that you actually want to be? It's about people with receipts. Now, it's Taurus. And that's where we can learn and we can grow with Uranus, is getting over your triggers of where you're at with your value, your money, all these things, and going that you can reach that place. But if you're going to be surrounded by people that aren't in that place, you're never going to get there. If you're not going to learn from people that actually know how to get to that place, you're never going to get there. Uranus will keep hitting you and smacking you until you finally break through. And that's what I'm offering through that course. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for being a part of highvibe.tv. And here, of course, here on YouTube. But if you really want to support me in the best way that you can, I don't ask for donations. I always give something back and offer, which is my daily horoscopes every day, my weekly videos, my weekly sun signs, and, of course, weekly deep astrology, and my weekly full disclosure with Natalie, and so much more. I appreciate you all. We just did spiritual dance music for this new moon, solar eclipse, and, of course, I do those every 2 weeks. We do so much on there, and there's so many amazing talent in other shows, and you can't see it, but even the new High Vibe stage is being done right now. Appreciate you all so much, and I'll see you on highvibe.tv.